The problem with thinking that the resurrection accounts could have been tacked on to the Christian message at a much later date, I mean even decades later, but especially if someone says, what about 100 years later? The problem with this is that we have texts from much earlier than that period. For example, 1 Corinthians 15 is the longest continuous treatment of the resurrection. It's 58 verses. But if you talk about material that Paul presents, the skeptical community is pretty sympathetic to the view. In fact, I think I'd just call it a consensus position among skeptics even, that the material Paul gets in 1 Corinthians 15, where he gives the list of appearances to 3 individuals, Peter, James, the brother of Jesus, and then he puts his own name on the end of the list, and then 3 groups, the 12, a group called all the apostles, and 500 brethren. I assume that means 500 men, so there could be a lot larger group. That list of Paul's appearances, critics actually date it back to between 30 and 35 AD. Whatever the year was Jesus was crucified. In fact, James D.G. Dunn of Durham University says that we can now date the creedal formulation of this material to 6 months after the cross. So there's no way that the material on the deity, death, resurrection of Jesus waits even decades to be given. It doesn't even wait a decade to be given. It comes right out of the gate immediately.